hoping this does it. Okay, how do I do this? Oh, okay.
Go live at the
Okay.
right hand corner.
Okay, it's live. It's live now.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Um, this is Adventure in Time and Space. I'm here with my friend Jon Coogan, BluebonnetWhovian, and
Hello.
we're discussing Deadly Assassin, a Tom Baker story. Okay, Bluebonnet, go ahead. Give
Oh,
me.
you're gonna throw me out there, are you?
Yeah, I'm throwing you out
Um,
there. Because
this is my, I do Doctor Who rewatches, and this is one that I'd only actually seen once, so actually rewatching it was nice. Um, I felt like this episode had a very Manchurian Candidate feel to it. I don't know if you are familiar with that movie from the 1960s, but it had a very Manchurian Candidate feel to it in the sense that Tom Baker is basically accused of taking out the president of Gallifrey, and basically the episode is pretty much him trying to clear his name and find out who's behind it. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the scene in the beginning where he sees it happening and he's taken aback. I really enjoyed that. I thought Tom Baker, the acting in that was superb. It was very interesting when we didn't get to see Gallifrey back in the classic era, so it was really interesting to be able to see that because they didn't do that all the time. And I remember thinking that when I was watching it, how that was really cool and neat, and seeing them all in their official gear, and um, how much like it's kind of like the Catholic Church in a way. I don't know if you kind of got that from
yeah,
that.
yeah, because they had priests there basically. I think I
Oh,
forget what they
cardinal. It's like a cardinal.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I thought that was very, very interesting how they implemented that, and just how he kind of goes on this journey and actually convinces. I believe it's not Barusa, but it's I can't remember the other guy's name, but he was very Castellan or something.
I think
Um,
yeah, Caroline, I think it
yeah,
was.
he was very, very, very skeptical at first, but pretty soon that he catches on that the doctor's onto something. Something's going on more than him just being the obvious, and I like that. It's a little mystery there.
Okay, next, John. Your turn.
Well, I really, really liked it. First of all, it was the first chance we got to save Gallifrey and the Time Lords. The only time previously had been occasional Time Lords appearing in stories or at the end of the War Games when Triton was sentenced. Now, I did enjoy it. I thought it was really good. It was the first episode first story that the Doctor had ever travelled alone, and that was quite noticeable for that. And I thought sorry, pardon me. I thought that Baker was really, really good in it, especially the scenes where his foot was trapped in the train when he was screaming trying to get out.
Oh
That
yeah.
was tremendous acting. I thought it was really, really good. All around, it was fantastic. When I did rewatch it, I watched it a couple of days ago. The whole of episode 3 is devoted to him and Goth in that jungle environment. And it was
Yeah.
quite violent for those days when he was being held underwater. You could
Mm-hmm.
see the Doctor's face beneath the water, he was being drowned. It was quite nasty. You couldn't see that in New Who now, but all around, I thought it was a great story, yeah.
Um, the thing about it, this is the first series. Well, we've seen him later on as a series type of stories with Tom Baker, and but this is the first one I've seen uh, a little bit more. I don't know, like series. Not much of a lightheartedness, more. I don't know how you would put it. It. I really saw the part where he saw what was happening before it happened,
Mm-hmm.
and ended up getting back on. He ended up Gallifrey, and he's looking out there, and he's seeing everybody out there, and he writes a note in Gallifreyan because whenever they were reading it and the camera showed, and it's like you couldn't understand what it was saying on the note, so it was in Gallifreyan. That's the first time we actually saw their language, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he was trying to tell them, hey, look, this is going to happen. Stop this. but of course they didn't. They didn't. They didn't stop in time, and the president got shot and killed. And this is also the first time we saw the master, but he was in his last regeneration cycle. He was like a decay. And what's really interesting, the person he was supposed to play with him was killed in an automobile accident. So they had to have a different actor play the master. And I like it whenever he went into the play into where he's laying down. He had these things on his head, and he was doing.
Oh, you're talking about the Dream Matrix.
Yeah, the Dream Matrix, and him. You also see this guy pour and poison the water, and then seeing how Tom Baker figured out a way around that. And and like Jon said about his foot, and he's like pulling it out, and he's seeing this train coming. He's like, he's going out, and eventually he died out. And then it went back where he was in that dream exit, but it went back to where it was the two Time Wars, and then with him, and they could see that there was a struggle going on. They could pretty much tell. And afterwards, he found out it was Goth. And then when they found him, after the doctor took that shot. I'm not that doctor. The master took the shot. That thing that I don't know what it's supposed to do. And that Gothy was like halfway. He was about ready to die anyway. He's lost his energy. And he told him. But also, what's really interesting is how the cameraman was miniatured, shrunk down.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, this. Interesting.
And that's how I think that's kind of how he knew the master was involved. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm like, I don't know, reading too much of that. But I think that's kind of how he knew.
Yeah, because the master would do something like that. No other Time Lord would do that. And like I said, this is the first story we saw a Gallifrey. First story without companions. It shows you that the Doctor, Tom Baker, could carry his own. The Doctor can carry his own without having companions with them. That there was a part that they, at a point that he can carry the show. And I really thought it was interesting. And it was, like I said, it was a very serious type scene. Not intense as the one with Patrick Troughton.
Yeah.
But still, it was a series for Tom Baker, because Tom Baker was, kind of a silly type, energetic type of person. But then see him in this story, you got to see their side of him. And I did. I really enjoyed it. And
what I thought was interesting that I learned about this episode after I watched it was that Tom Baker has a fear of water. So those scenes were actually him really being very, like, he really showed the fear, like he was really fearful of that. So, and I think there was some controversy about that scene because I'm not sure the lady's name, but she complained a lot about Doctor Who, but she basically complained and thought that was too violent for children to see. And actually, Tom Baker went around to kids and kind of talked to them and explained, that this is just a show, this is just a movie. From what I understand, that's some trivia about this episode, which I thought was very interesting.
I didn't know he had. Now that's interesting. Did not know that Tom Baker had a fear of water.
That was real. He was not acting. At the time I watched that, it seemed like, wow, he's such a good, but really that's just him being really scared.
So then that made it more.
Mm-hmm.
That made it more intense.
And that's how much he was dedicated to Doctor Who, that he would do that.
What are your thoughts on that, John?
Huh?
He goes along in the boat in Shada, doesn't he? Along the river Punting in Shada. So yeah, must be something similar to that. But the one thing I liked about it was the big unveiling of the Time Lord's property.
Mm-hmm.
did see a bit of the structure. As Blue said earlier on, they almost had like a church-like structure with cardinals and a Lord President, obviously. It was very ecclesiastical, the robes they wore, the big gown they wore, and that was really good. It was the little small cameraman that unveiled the master to the Doctor, because he started using the tissue compression eliminator, the TCE. The first time he appeared, which was Terror of the Autons with John Pertwee. So that was his trademark in those days, shall we say. And so he just recently back with Sacha Dhawan. But I thought it was quite interesting. The way it's broken into chapters or sects, you know. The Doctor's Paridonians, or the Paridonians, which is the gold ones, which is the highest sect, as was Chancellor Goth. So that was interesting.
Well, I didn't know that.
Matrix. The Matrix is composed of memories of dead Time Lords. So when they die, they plug them in. So all their memories are taken into one giant computer bank, which is where the Doctor should have entered.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like a Heaven Sent, where they had the, I guess, the confessional dial. It kind of reminds me of that a little bit.
Yeah, that's basically probably what it was, like a confession.
Similar.
But like I agree. You know, it's interesting that you learn all after rewatching it. And I looked up on, it's called TARDIS, you know, the TARDIS, basic TARDIS times or something. And I looked up on that and read a lot about it. And that's where I learned about the person who was supposed to play the master at that time, died in an automobile accident. But
Roger Delgado.
But the whole thing is, I didn't know about that Tom Baker had that fear water. I can see some kids getting a little scared about it.
Yeah.
But watching as an adult, you don't, you know.
Well, and it's a different time back then, you know. I mean, there was blood in it, obviously, like when he saw that his leg was cut, and then, you know, there was some of that, but that's tame compared to what they have on television today. But for back then, maybe that was frightening for children, because they didn't do that all the time in shows that were generally set up for kids originally, like Doctor Who was. So that I think that's why.
I think it's the most violent episode I've ever seen, apart from the case of Androzani, which was very violent. The last one of Peter Davison's guys with knives to their throats, all sorts of things. It was horrible, but it was quite violent for the time. The lady called Mary Whitehouse.
Right, that's the one.
An organization called the National Viewers and Listeners Association, which was lots of old ladies who complained about stuff on the telly. And they put so much pressure on the pressure group that they got Joe Nathan Turner to tone down the violence of some of the stories. So they made a big difference.
It got a lot darker, I think the show did, as in, you know, getting closer to the 80s. I mean, there was some blood. I don't remember what Pertwee episode it was, but there was some blood on, I think, on a windshield one time. I'm not sure what episode right offhand, but yeah, I was kind of shocked by that even in the 70s that they had that little bit of that, but that was very, very little.
It was on a 6:20 in the evening, so it was very much of a tea time show. So, so it was quite strong for the time, but I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great episode, and I like the fact that it talks about we learn how many regenerations that Time Lord has.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also on top of this, you talked about how Tom Baker went and talked to kids about this episode. I've seen on YouTube that Tom Baker would make it a point to talk to kids, go to children's hospital. So in fact, he was more interactive with the young, you know, the youth basically. And I've seen that in him. He's very energetic. So I could see, you know, I could see that, trying to let kids know this is not, you know, this is not really real. This is just a show. I can see him doing that. So,
well, I think it was because it ended on the cliffhanger, and it looked like that Goth had killed him, like he drowned him, and so I'm sure that was horrifying for little kids to see that, like, oh, the Doctor's gone. Because I mean, for little kids, they don't know.
They don't know about regeneration.
Well,
Go ahead, John.
You know, saying that waited a week to see if the Doctor was okay after seeing that film, so it was a long time to worry about it.
Right. So I think that was why. And you know, that just shows how much he cared about, you know, the kids and the show.
Oh, completely.
So
we all agreed that this show was, interesting, and rewatching it, again, made you look at it differently. It made me, when I rewatched it to do this, it made me look at it in a different way of like dissecting it, just like take away with what why I watched and everything. But I did find it interesting. I may be doing some more classic Who episodes as time goes on. Um, we've run out of things to talk about this episode.
right.
So I want to thank you both for joining me.
Oh, no problem.
Give a shout out to your channel, Bluebonnet, and your Facebook.
I just BluebonnetWhovian on YouTube. I'm also on Twitter, and I also have started a new forum called BluebonnetWhovian, Doctor Who forum. It's from 1963 to 2017. Just started that recently. It's kind of a small forum, but check it out. It's on Facebook, and that's pretty much it. We're working on some Doctor Who rewatches. I think I'm pretty sure this weekend I'll finish up my Peter Davison rewatch, which was Castrovalva. Another new regeneration episode, kind of like, I did about the 11th hour. That wasn't on purpose, but it was just a suggestion. So I'll have that this weekend, and that's pretty much it.
Anyway, I have Adventure in Time and Space here on YouTube. I have the Facebook Adventure in Time and Space. I'm just you could check those out, like, sub, and subscribe, and share this video, and leave a comment below. And also Not My Doctor Who has a YouTube channel on here, and also has the same thing as on the Facebook, Not My Doctor Who, and they have a live stream on Fridays 8 p.m. UK time. So I want to thank everybody, and I wish everybody a good night or good day, or however it is. And hope to see you later. Bye.
All right. Thanks for having me on. Bye.